Ladies and gentlemen, it is time! Every vault in the Fallout series explained by Patty Rick. Okay, as you know, my experience with Fallout is I did a deep dive on Fallout lore, okay? I also know all about the controversies of the Fallout 76 launch and different scams that Fallout went into. However, this is the 100% blind reaction into every single vault of the Fallout series. For those of you that are unaware, those of you that are uninitiated, this is another Lord Nuxanor exclusive, jumping into the depths of depravity. The Fallout series takes place in an alternate universe where everything is based on nuclear power, and basically they're living after a fallout, after a nuclear holocaust. Everything is fucking over. It's Jover, and survivors are living in different vaults. Every one of these vaults ended up developing their own ecosystem, from crazy baby-eating cults to fucking insane, unhinged, crazy, altruistic people. Like, that's even a real thing. And then, of course, you got your vaults just full of government officials that managed to know that the Holocaust was coming and survive. So, we're jumping into it. Every single vault explained. I warn you in advance. Trigger warning. You will probably get fucked up from this. Let's see what we got.
By the year 2054, the United States government was faced with the reality that atomic warfare was inevitable.
Yeah. I feel like this is too real. It's just way too real.
Oil was becoming increasingly rare, the United Nations had collapsed 2 years prior, and a nuclear exchange had recently erupted in the Middle East.
No, don't make it this real. Not today. Oh, man.
Making it the first time atomic weapons were used on a civilian population in over a century.
Fucking hell, bro. This sounds way too close to what's been going on in real life, and I don't want to hear any of this shit. All right, I guess that's why we're doing this today.
This would lead to a secretive group comprised of high-ranking government officials known as the Enclave to devise a plan to preserve themselves. And thus...
Fucking government officials. I hate that Fallout pre-watch geopolitics. Shut up, chat. Don't even say stuff like that. Bro, it's always the government officials, bro. Why couldn't the government officials were worried about this happening, so therefore they devised a plan to save as many random civilians that they could. No. To save themselves.
Thus, Project Safe House was born. Billions of dollars would be commissioned to a company known as Vault-Tec to construct 122 underground nuclear shelters known as vaults in order to supposedly shelter the United States population from impending doom.
It's always the United States population. It's like, and everyone's gone except for rich Americans. Well, that's pretty accurate, I guess.
However, its true purpose was to conduct a series of inhumane experiments on the population of each vault in order to gather enough data for the Enclave to colonize another planet. That's
fucked up. That is some of the most dystopian shit in the universe. There's a actual nuclear fallout. The world is literally in jeopardy, okay? The world is actually in danger, okay? Everyone is gone. The only way to survive is to lock yourself in a bunker. So they create a bunch of these bunkers to put people in there purely, oh my god, purely to test different ideologies and test different ecosystems in these enclosed environments in these vaults to see which one would be healthiest so the uber rich fuckers could colonize another planet with an ideal society. How insanely dystopian is that?
Bombs dropped on October 23rd, 2077 in what is known as the Great War. The vaults were sealed, thus beginning 122 stories which the Fallout series has been uncovering since its inception.
It's such a great concept, right? You got 122 vaults. Each one has their own little society and gimmick to it. All right, let's go. Let's do it. 100% blind reaction. Show me these fucked up societies. I love that shit.
While not every vault has been explored over the course of this franchise,
I just want to know what happened in Vault 69. I want to know what they've been up to.
There are still quite a few that have been given rich and interesting stories for us to discover in our journeys throughout the wasteland. So without further ado, here is every vault in the Fallout canon.
I'm ready, baby.
Before this video starts, here are some terms you may need to know to better understand the lore behind these vaults. If you already know these terms, then skip ahead to this timestamp. FEV, or the Forced Evolutionary Virus, was an experiment engineered before the Great War.
Messed up, right? This is the virus that turns you into these hulks these erectile dysfunctioning hulks.
Or by the US government. It was designed to accelerate evolution in human subjects in order to make them more effective soldiers, but instead, it caused devastating mutations to those exposed to it, giving rise to creatures like super mutants and other mutated horrors like centaurs or nightkin.
Average centaur, bro. Okay, dude. Nightkin. All right. All right. Super mutants. Okay. All right. Okay. What they tell us centaurs are gonna look like. All right. What we're expecting centaurs to look like. All right. What we think centaurs are gonna be like. All right. This is the imagination of what you think a centaur will be. Centaurs in our imagination. Centaurs in reality. Yay!
In the Fallout universe, chems refer to drugs. They're everywhere in the post-war world, ranging from old medical pills to homemade substances that often lead to addiction. Chems such as Mentats, Buffout, Med-X, and Jet are just some of the substances found throughout the wasteland. Synths, short for synthetic humanoids, is a common term used to refer to the robotic beings created by the mysterious faction known as the Institute. While
I love how many different factions and institutes there are. This is a real world, right? They're trying to actually build a real world here. It's not just the story following like your little cast of characters.
Generation 1 and 2 synths are entirely mechanical by design, utilizing simplistic artificial intelligence. Generation 3 synths are nearly indistinguishable from humans, right down to their DNA. Generation 3 synths in particular are frequently sent to abduct and replace residents of the Commonwealth in order for the Institute to spy on the residents of the wasteland.
Average Institute. Dude, has there ever been a show or a story where you have the Institute or the company just not being this evil, spying, fucked up situation? Like, have you ever had a good institute, company, cabal, ever in the history of fiction?
The GECK, or Garden of Eden Creation Kit, is a device designed to restore a selected area destroyed by nuclear fallout into a habitable environment capable of growing food and purifying water. Each vault was issued 2 GECKs, so that when the population left the vaults, they'd
be able to make a society.
Use it to create a sustainable society in the wasteland.
Yeah.
Ghouls, radroaches, mirelurks, rat scorpions, glowing ones, deathclaws, and the scorch are some of the creatures I'll be mentioning in this video, all of whom have been transformed and mutated by Are some of
we're gonna have to do that one. Editor, edit it this way.
Water. Each vault was issued 2 GECKs, so that when the population left the vaults, they could use it to create a sustainable society in the wasteland. Ghouls,
wouldn't,
radroaches,
pass,
mirelurks,
smash,
rat scorpions, glowing ones, deathclaws, and the scorch
smash
are some of the creatures I'll be mentioning in this video, all of whom have been transformed and mutated by radiation into their current form. The Brotherhood of Steel, the Boomers,
the Boomers! Okay, Boomers.
Institute, the Powder Gangers, the Enclave.
The Powder Gangers, dude. The Powder Gangers! They're all just like fucking drugged out of their mind. They have fucking white shit all over their face.
The Gunners and the NCR are some of the factions that I mentioned throughout the video without clarification as to who they are. So here are their descriptions that you can come back to if I mention them throughout this video. Yeah. And now, let's begin. Located in the South Vegas.
Alright, vault number 3! I guess vault number 1's probably just gonna end up being like some government fuckers.
This ruins. Vault 3 is known as a control vault, which meant that the inhabitants were not subjected to any experiments during their time in the.
I love how that's the exception. I love it's like humanity is dying. We've made these vaults to save as many people as we can, like to just keep them safe after a nuclear fallout. And it's like, Vault 3, one of the rare exceptions where the survivors are not being tested and subjected to examinations. One of the rare places where the few remaining humans alive are not being tested on. Wow.
Vault. Thus, the inhabitants remained sealed for over a century after the bombs dropped, until a water leak forced the inhabitants to open up the vault so that they could trade with the people of the wasteland in order to survive. All was well for a few weeks until the vault caught the attention of a group of raiders known as the Fiends, who subsequently massacred the vault's residents.
Bro, that's what happens when you're just being nice and normal in an apocalypse. Listen. The rules change, okay? Morality is not the same in an apocalyptic setting, okay? God damn it.
Claim the vault for themselves. In Fallout New Vegas, if you head to Vault 3, you will find it fully inhabited by the Fiends, led by
wild. So that's crazy.
Their chief, a raider named Motor Runner. Since they took over the vault, the fiends grew stronger and more vicious, and are considered a deadly threat by the New California Republic and the people of the Mojave. Vault 4 and Vault 33 both feature in the Fallout TV series. And because it hasn't come out yet at the time of recording, we know very little about them or their experiment, other
Alright, to be continued when I actually watch the Fallout TV series.
than the fact that Vault 33 is located in Santa Monica, California, and is inhabited by a vault dweller named Lucy and her father, Overseer Hank.
He's dead. I didn't watch the series. I could be totally wrong. He's either going to be dead or kidnapped, and she's going to need to somehow save him. Average Bethesda plot.
However, if you are watching this after the TV show has come out, then perhaps I'll make a video covering the lore of these vaults, and if that's the case, it will be plugged here.
Smash like and
Located
subscribe.
in northwestern Nevada, Vault 8 was originally designed as a control vault slated to open after a decade to repopulate the surface. However, due to a mistake made by the US government,
Governments and making mistakes.
Vault 8 received a surplus of water ships intended for Vault 13. The dwellers lived peacefully underground until
my God.
2091, when the Enclave's all-clear signal prompted the vault to open. Upon reaching the surface,
Wait, so they ended up living in this vault for so freaking long? They ended up living in this vault way extra, and unfortunately the other vault, Vault 13 or whatever, got absolutely cucked without enough water?
the residents would use their Garden of Eden creation kit to establish a city powered by nuclear energy supplied by the vault's reactor.
Bro, these guys lived like kings!
This would lead to the creation of Vault City, known for its advanced medical technology such as autodocs capable of performing sophisticated surgeries without the assistance of humans. By 2241, the vault itself was used primarily as storage as well as a medical center for the citizens of Vault City. Vault 11.
That's crazy. So those guys were really, they were living the good life. They got the surplus of shit. They actually just made an actual working society. That's wild.
Located in the Mojave Desert, conducted a social experiment where inhabitants were told that they had to sacrifice one vault dweller annually, or else they all would perish.
What the fuck? For literally no reason. The government is just testing shit. They're like, well, what if they live under a constant fear? So we just, we tell, hey, listen, human sacrifice worked so well for the fucking Aztecs. Maybe it'll keep these guys at peace. This is so much better.
When the vault door was sealed and the first inhabitants learned about their situation, they were horrified and enraged with the vault's overseer for not telling them before they were trapped inside, thus turning him into Vault 11's very first sacrifice.
Makes sense, honestly. I would have picked him too, if I had to guess.
This tradition of sacrificing the overseer would continue as time went on, and each year, the vault would hold an election to determine who would be elected as overseer and consequently killed. This divided the vault into different political parties known as the Coalition.
Oh my god, dude. Haley is a known adulterer and communist sympathizer. Elect Haley for overseer because they're gonna kill him! Oh my god! Rumors about Haley are baseless. Vote Stone for overseer instead! So we can kill him! Bro, this is fucking wild. Unhinged.
Of Vault 11 voting block.
I love how they thought this was a good idea. Like, why would they even make an experiment like this? For what?
Each year, they would create voting guides for the vault's residents meant as an impartial source of information for who they should vote for. As time went on, these guides eventually would become a source of voting propaganda as the vault began to experience a power struggle among the blocks.
No shit.
As the coalition gained influence over the years, they became more and more corrupt. And one year, a woman named Catherine Stone was sexually coerced by a leader of the Justice Bloc so that they would not sacrifice her husband, Nathan.
Oh my god, dude. This is so fucked up.
Tragically, Nathan was voted as a sacrifice regardless.
Oh my god! He sexually assaulted her like as a present to save her husband, and then they killed the husband anyway. Holy shit.
Leading to Catherine murdering the other members of the Justice Bloc one by one in a fit of rage.
Makes sense, honestly.
Her rampage.
The entire dude fucked her for months. Oh my, this is awful. How is this valuable data for Vault-Tec? Why did they think this was like useful? Oh my lord. I love how my chat's just like, solution, have babies, then kill babies, baby sacrifice. Wow, chat. Honestly, that is a very good point.
consequently resulted in her being voted as the sacrifice for the next year, and thus making her the new overseer. In her first act as overseer, she banned the election in favor of a system where the annual sacrifice would be chosen randomly by the vault's computer.
As my first rule as president, I declare presidents run for 4 terms. Who needs democracy? Democracy is dead. Democracy is cringe. Dictatorship for all. Randomness, yes. AI-generated sacrifices.
The remaining members of
the Wheel of Misfortune
Justice Bloc, fearful of losing their power, staged an armed coup, which resulted in the massacre of most of the vault's residents, leaving only 5 dwellers alive.
Oh my god, that's so much worse.
These 5, horrified at the events that had taken place, mutually decided to end the cycle of killing and refused to sacrifice any more people.
And let me guess, after they refused to kill anybody, nothing happens. It was all just psychological warfare, and they were killing people for nothing all this time.
They were then presented with an automated message congratulating them for breaking the cycle and not murdering anyone, revealing the whole experiment was a ruse.
Damn, fuck, shit. Oh, Lord. That's the worst. That's the worst. Oh, my God. That's awful, dude. Fuck.
The computer then unlocked the vault's main entrance, allowing the dwellers to leave as they pleased.
What an insane punchline. They all did it to themselves. All the killing was worthless and pointless. I mean, I do get that that's the ultimate conclusion, but at the same time, like, why would the government do some shit like this? Good job, you broke the cycle. And?
Shocked and disgusted with what they had done, 4 of the 5 dwellers decided to end their own lives out of guilt for their actions. The remaining survivor, presumably, left the vault, never to be seen again. By 2281, the vault remains empty, only inhabited by its robot personnel, as well as terminal entries and holotapes detailing the horrible events that had taken place inside.
That's the worst vault so far. Vault 11 is by far the worst so far. Holy shit. That is so dark.
Vault 12, located
And, like, bro, why government? Why government?
in Bakersfield, California, was intended as a medical experiment studying the effects of gradual radiation exposure, in which the vault door was designed to not seal correctly when the bombs dropped.
It was designed to not seal correctly. It was designed to not seal correctly. To expose them to radiation. They were guinea pigs in this massive project to just see if somehow humanity can adapt. Fuck.
This resulted in the vault's population turning into ghouls. In the year 2083, the survivors would leave the vault and turn the surrounding area into the city of Necropolis. By the time of Fallout 1, the vault is still inhabited by a number of glowing ones who act as guards for the vault's water chip if you attempt to steal it. Vault 13, located in the mountains of Southern California,
that's pretty bad, honestly, but I don't think it's as bad as the mind games in Vault 11.
was intended to keep its residents isolated from the outside world until one day, a water chip malfunction led to the Overseer to send a handful of vault residents out into the wasteland to search for a replacement. The first dweller, a man named Ed, barely made it out of the vault before being killed by rats. The second
Oh my god, death by rats! The
dweller, a man named Talius, was captured by Nightkin and turned into an FEV mutant, and now resides in the Boneyard as a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse.
Oh great, at least we kept up with him.
The third, your player character in Fallout 1, would succeed in replacing Vault 13's water chip in the year 2161 after a long and harrowing journey throughout the wasteland. Despite fulfilling his task, as well as saving the vault from the Master's
Master guy is so scary.
army of super mutants, the Vault Dweller was banished by the Overseer, as he felt that his adventures in the wasteland would lead the Vault's population to abandon their home. This would lead to the Vault Dweller leaving Vault 13 and founding the settlement of Arroyo. After the residents of
Vault 13, this guy's a Giga Chad, the protagonist of Fallout 1.
Vault 13 learned of the Overseer's decision, they sentenced him to death, allowing those who wished to leave the vault to do so. The remaining dwellers would live peacefully in the vault until 2241, when they were captured or killed by the Enclave.
Brother, that's messed up, dude. There's just no happy ending. Holy shit.
Who left behind a pack of intelligent Deathclaws to guard the vault. The vault was then found by the Vault Dweller's grandson, the Chosen One, who was there on a mission to retrieve.
Wait, so the main character of Fallout 1 is the one that actually successfully left Vault 13 and found water and saved the day and all that. Then later, everyone in Vault 13 that technically got saved, right? Technically they got saved. They all got absolutely fucked up by people. And then the grandson of the guy who left the Vault 13 came back way later.
Leave the vault's Gek in order to save the previously mentioned village of Arroyo. Once he retrieves,
he wants the Garden of Eden thing to save the city that the Fallout 1 protagonist founded. So technically, the Fallout 1 protagonist canonically had sex. Let's freaking go, baby!
retrieves the Gek, Frank Horrigan and a squad of Enclave soldiers exterminate the Death Claws, leaving Vault 13 an empty hole in the ground. Vault 15, located in Southern California, was a social experiment in which a large population from diverse ethnic and religious backgrounds were forced to live together. This would cause a schism among the dwellers, which would lead to them abandoning the vault.
Guys, we have decided on the perfect population for Vault number 15. We put 5 Ku Klux Klan members and 5 black people in the same vault to see if they'll get along. Anyway.
Separating into 3 raider groups: the Khans, the Jackals, and the Vipers. The remaining inhabitants who opted to not become raiders fled west and established the settlement of Shady Sands. By 2161, the vault was abandoned and only inhabited by a family of rad scorpions. As the years went on, Vault 15 remained abandoned due to disputes over excavation rights.
Of course. They put a bunch of different, ideologies in this place, and no one can get along to the point that the entire vault just became a useless husk.
Various factions, including the New California Republic, Raiders, and Scavengers, all clashed over control. In the early 2240s, the NCR sought to reclaim the vault's computer parts, but were stopped by a group of squatters living on the surface of the vault. These squatters were secretly harboring a group of raiders known as the New Khans, who they believed were restoring the vault. However, the truth was that the New Khans were just using the squatters as a smokescreen to hide from the NCR. The situation was resolved after Tandy, the president of the NCR, hired the Chosen One to broker a deal between
So this is all still taking place in Fallout 2, right? In the actual game, Fallout 2.
the NCR and the squatters. In exchange for retrieving the computer parts, the squatters agreed to join the NCR, receiving education and essential supplies, while Vault 15 became the property of the NCR. Vault 17 is a vault that we do not know much about.
Vault 17, alright. So those last few were pretty messed up, right? I mean, but yes, taking a bunch of different ethnic groups, putting them together, and then surprised they don't actually get along, unfortunately, that's one thing, alright? But that is not nearly as cursed as Vault fucking 11, dude.
However, what we do know is that its inhabitants were kidnapped and transformed into supermutants by the Master. Among those inhabitants lived a 75-year-old grandma named Lily Bowen. After being exposed to the Force Evolutionary Virus by the Master's army,
Hey, look at her, cute old lady.
Lily was turned into a Nightkin and can be found in Jacobstown in Fallout New Vegas, where
She just lives there? That's so cute.
she can be recruited as a companion. Vault 19, located in the Mojave Desert, was intended as a social experiment studying the
Fuck, oh god, I hate the social experiment ones. Those are the worst.
effects of factionalism and how it induced paranoia and mistrust among its residents. During this experiment, residents were divided into blue and red sectors and subjected to a series of manipulation tactics to turn the two sections against each other.
Like what? Like why? Why? What's forcing them? Who's putting a gun to their head to force them to live in these stupid faction rules?
Entries found inside the vault indicate high levels of paranoia, such as blaming the other factions for the vault's malfunctions, as well as reports of feeling unusual drafts from the air vents, seeing blinking patterns in the lights that
This is just Among Us. Among Us, the game! Among Us!
mimicked code, as well as a child reporting hearing high-pitched noises coming from his vault terminal, which was perhaps a form of subliminal messaging. Little did they know that this was all being orchestrated by the overseers, as well as the vault doctors, who may have been drugging the residents, leading some to experience fits of aggression and psychosis.
Bro! That's not a social experiment! Guys, today we made a social experiment. We took 3 women and we shot them. They were not happy. What? That's not a social experiment. We drugged 12 children into thinking they're being followed. Coincidentally, all 12 of them have experienced paranoia.
By the time of Fallout New Vegas, the vault had been taken over by powder gangers after they found the place abandoned, leaving the fate of the vault's residents unknown. Vault 21, located on the New Vegas Strip, housed an experiment which focused on the effects of excessive gambling. When the bombs dropped, 200 years
The gambling vault
passed, and
all the kick streamers are here, baby. Here we got all our famous kick streamers in the New Vegas Vault 21.
Vault's residents would develop a stable community which solved its problems through gambling. Eventually, in the year 2274, Robert House, the ruler of the New Vegas Strip, proposed a game of blackjack, where if he won, he would become the owner of the vault.
Bro, he literally gambled for the vault. He gotcha vaulted. Bro, gotcha vaulted! The gotcha game vault! He was like, listen, bro, we simply play a game of blackjack, and if I win, I own everything. And these guys are all just fucking degenerate, neck-scratching meth heads, gambling-addicted motherfuckers, and they go for it.
Of the vault's residents were skeptical and favored isolation.
Dude, if I could pick a vault between the Twitch vault and the Kick vault, this would be the Kick vault, right? All the gamblers. Twitch vault would be full of women in small bikinis and in very small hot tubs.
However, others were in favor of opening the vault up. As a result, Mr. House tasked the residents in favor of opening up the vault to challenge those who disagreed to a game of blackjack in order to decide what to do.
Bro, he's literally gambling with these guys.
Eventually, the dwellers in favor
this guy's a fucking JoJo villain.
Of opening up won the game, handing over the ownership of Vault 21 to Mr. House. Afterwards,
He actually won and they just gave it to him. That's wild.
House unexpectedly attempted to fill the vault with concrete in order to force the residents to move out of.
Holy shit! The house always wins! Yo, holy shit. How did I not get that reference before? The house always wins, dude! Oh my god. And bro just buys the vault. He's like, the vault is now mine. I will be filling it with concrete. Oh, there are people in there? Well, I guess you have to leave then.
Vegas. However, one of the dwellers, Sarah, was able to convince him to turn the vault into a hotel.
They convinced the businessman to make more money instead. And he was like, you know what? Yes.
Of its profitability, Mr. House transformed the vault into a hotel, and by 2281, the vault was still open for business, offering residents of New Vegas room and board as long as they have the caps. Wow. Vault 22, located in the Mojave Desert.
Dude, Vault 21, it's just they got a bunch of gambling addicted people, and they ended up gambling away their home. Unfortunately, that's a little bit too real. I feel like so many people end up falling down that rabbit hole and just end up losing everything.
Was intended as a research facility which tested genetically modified crops that were developed at Big Mountain, a think tank known for its unorthodox experiments. After the bombs dropped and the scientists began experimenting on the crops, they accidentally released an outbreak of a modified fungal infection which would lead to the vault being overrun with vegetation.
You see, that at least makes sense, right? Think about it. That at least makes sense. You have a vault based on researching vegetation that could exist in a Fallout, right? Like, I get why the government would lock people in a vault like this, like, at least for progress. But some of these social experiment vaults, you gotta wonder, what does the government have to gain? See, whenever I hear, like, conspiracy theories about the shadow government pulling the strings behind shit, if there's a way for them to make money out of it, honestly, there's a chance I'll just believe that conspiracy theory. But if they're not even making money out of it, and it's just they're being cruel, but why though? I find it difficult.
The vault's residents all would eventually succumb to the infection, as the fungus they were experimenting on would colonize their bodies and use them as hosts, turning them into horrifying creatures known as spore carriers. Located somewhere on the west coast of the United States, Vault 29 was
Why are all these vaults on the West Coast?
Intended to house a population of rich children under the age of 15.
Just a bunch of rich kids. No.
The vault would be
the rich kid vault. No, that place is fucked.
Controlled by a Zax AI supercomputer, which would be programmed to raise the children with the aid of robotic helpers. Not much is known about the fate of Vault 29, other than the fact that Harold, a recurring character in the Fallout series, is said to have originated from there. Vault 34.
Okay, so it's just bro, it's just a vault full of rich kids with a supercomputer raising them in the best possible way. Big shock, the rich kids are going to grow up to be the most advanced people in the next generation. It's literally just building a next generation of leaders. That's crazy.
located in the Mojave Desert, hosted an experiment granting its inhabitants unrestricted access to an armory full of weapons and explosives.
See, I get why that would be an experiment. See how quickly humanity would turn feral if you put them in a situation like this.
This would cause a very gun-centric culture within the vault, and seeing the potential for disaster, the Overseer would lock up the vault's armory, and because of this, the residents protested, as they felt that they had the right to their weapons.
Vault 34, where the rules matter.
And thus,
if it exists, it's in this vault, baby!
Population.
Strange images and depictions of cartoon dragons with titties were all across the walls.
Was divided into two groups. The first group would escape the vault and head north, where they would discover the Nellis Air Force Base and eventually become the Boomers.
The Boomers! Bro, why would they pick that name?
Remaining dwellers would be trapped inside by the Overseer, leading to a riot that damaged the vault's reactor. This would end up filling the vault with radiation, turning its remaining residents into feral ghouls. As of 2281, Vault 34 is nothing more than a ghoul-infested, irradiated hole in the ground stocked with all the weaponry that one could need.
That's fucking crazy. Literally just America. Ghouls and weapons, right? Isn't that just like 50% of Americans?
Not much is known about Vault 43, as it was featured only in the Fallout comic titled One Man and a Crate of Puppets. All that is known
puppets
about the vault is that its inhabitants consisted of 20 men, 10 women, and a panther.
Why? Why would they do that? 20 men, 10 women, and a panther?
Vault 51, located in the forests of Appalachia, conducted an
Appalachia? Oh my god, it's the Wendigoon Vault.
Experiment in which a ZAX 1.3C supercomputer would test the vault's residents in order to determine who is best fit for the role of Overseer. The computer was primarily taught by a man named Sergeant Robert Baker, who would advise the computer on what made the best leader. As time went on, Baker attempted 2 separate times to hold an election, but when no one could decide on a leader, the computer deemed elections pointless and would forego this method of selecting the Overseer.
Bro, the AI gave up. The AI gave up! The AI was like, no, you guys are fucked. Screw elections. Figure it out.
Baker would then commune with the AI, telling it that a leader was someone who stepped up in times of crises. The AI would misinterpret this message and begin to produce a series of crises for the dwellers in order to see who was most fit to lead.
Okay, honestly, that is really good fucking writing. Holy shit. Vault 51. The supercomputer is so advanced, it recognized the pointlessness of the situation. So they told the computer, but who would work in the time of crises? So the only way for the supercomputer to properly pick who would be the appropriate contender for the Overseer is to create crises and see. The AI just went Hunger Games mode to fucking test these people. That's crazy.
These crises included, but are not limited to, changing the rules of a talent show halfway through to make it so that the losers would be forced to move out of their bedrooms and into bunk beds, making the
That's not so bad.
dwellers compete in rigged casino games, engineering a food shortage,
Engineering a food shortage. Bro, this is the problem with giving AI all the power. Sometimes it'll just be too smart. Sometimes, its priorities are never going to be the same as yours, right? So your priority is living a happy life. Its priority is making sure they pick the right ruler. So if their way of picking the right ruler is by causing food shortages, then that's what they'll do, because its priorities are always going to be skewed. That's why AI can never truly be trusted. That's wild. It's really good writing.
the dwellers that houseflies were infesting the vault, blaring the vault alarms while the residents were sleeping, switching their coffee with decaf, and manipulating the dwellers into cheating on their significant others.
How would it do that? Bro, this is just the NTR AI. What the frick happened, bro? The Netorare AI switches coffees to decafs and has sex with married women. What the shit is going on?
These events ultimately manipulated the remaining inhabitants to turn against each other, leading to multiple deaths. One day,
and in the AI's mind, right, it'll just be like, well, those guys weren't going to be good leaders.
After the body of a dweller named Helen was found, the vault residents began to frenzy. This led to the dwellers massacring each other, leaving only one survivor alive.
And he was picked by the AI as the Overseer. Literally turned Vault 51 into Hunger Games.
A man named Reuben Gill. Since he was the only dweller left, he was named Overseer and would stay.
Don't fucking say.
isolated with the Zax AI for years. This would change when Ruben found out about the opening of Vault 76. Seeking a way to escape, Ruben would hack into the Vault's inventory system and place himself inside a shipping crate, allowing him to leave undetected when the crate was removed from the vault. His plan was to find someone from Vault 76 to help him defeat the Zax AI, and he—
Why? Just leave. The Zax AI can't do shit. Everyone's dead already. What do you mean defeat it?
was actually successful in making contact with one of the dwellers, but he ultimately died before he could return to Vault 51.
That is just so depressing. I don't know, I feel like Vault 51 is one of my favorites. That might be my favorite vault so far. Because, like, the government that set it up, like, they didn't necessarily do anything wrong. They just wanted to see... See, that's a social experiment that makes sense. The government created Vault 51. They wanted to see what if, instead of dealing with democratic elections, right? Think about it, right? Democratic elections cause all sorts of hate and violence, right? You got all the people on the right that hate all the people on the left. You got all the people on the left that hate all the people on the right. You got all these guys that want to kill each other. They hate each other so freaking much. If you think about it, like, wouldn't it be better if instead of having, like, this really divisive shit that, wouldn't it be better if, you know, there was an AI that would just choose the most realistically based person to be the leader? Wouldn't it be better if the AI would just select the person that was best? Right? Think about it. And the answer is no, because this is what would happen. Look at Vault 51. It'll make a freaking Hunger Games to figure that out, because that's its prime freaking directive. It obviously doesn't have the same values as human beings. But still, it's just such a really good... That's a great social experiment. Damn, that's a good one.
Currently, the vault is abandoned, and its only inhabitants are some Scorched who wandered inside.
Wood.
Located in a cave underneath a shack southwest of Lewisburg, West Virginia, Vault 63 remains sealed and has yet to have any lore on what its purpose was, as it remains inaccessible to Fallout 76 players. However, this may change in a future update. Not much is known about Vault 69.
Vault 69!
As it's only featured in the previously mentioned Fallout comic titled One Man and a Crate of Puppets.
For some reason, all the men were right side up, but all the women were upside down. No one knows why.
All we know about Vault 69 is that it held 999 women and 1 man.
Oh, fuck! They really did play into that! Bro, Elon Musk was just the leader of Vault-Tec. Vault-Tec was just running by... Just Elon Musk was the CEO of Vault-Tec. There's no other explanation. They turned this into a fucking harem anime. That's absolute insanity. No freaking way. They turned Vault 69 into World's End harem.
Vault 75, located at Malden Middle School north of Boston, Massachusetts, conducted a social and medical experiment centered on a eugenics program to create the perfect soldiers from young children.
Okay, that's mega fucked up. Okay.
When the bombs dropped, all the children's adult relatives would be executed, marking the beginning of the experiment. The kids were taught to fear the horrors of the outside world, and were trained to be fit, brave, and intelligent enough to venture out into the wastelands to help the remaining population above ground.
Dude, this is just promised Neverland with extra steps.
Years later, when the children turned 18 and they graduated the program, the smart but weak kids would be made into scientists.
The smart, weak children, scientists. The strong, dumb children, soldiers. The average children, murdered.
Strong
organs harvested.
And
all hail Space King.
Smart were harvested for their organs.
I was joking! I was literally joking. Oh my god, dude, don't say pre-watched. Don't say pre-watched. I'm just in tune. Listen, I am the shadow government, okay? I am the shadow government.
And the rest would simply be executed. Eventually, the vault was opened, and the remaining dwellers presumably headed out into the wasteland, abandoning the vault. By 2287, the vault is filled with gunners who repurposed it into abandoning the vault. By 2287, the vault is filled with gunners who repurposed it into one of their headquarters in the Commonwealth. Vault 76, a control vault
Hey, Vault 76.
Located north of Flatwoods, West Virginia, was built to house 5
Flatwoods, West Virginia. The launch was cringy. We took everyone's money. The game had no content, it was boring. We sold mugs, and we lied about what they were.
500 occupants and was scheduled to open 20 years after the Great War in order
20 years! 20 years!
rebuild and
It was shit for 20 years.
populate the wasteland on a special date known as Reclamation Day. The occupants included students from Vault-Tec University, military members, and even former White House Chief of Staff. Occupants were provided
Oh,
with
good. They have former White House Chief of Staff. That's going to be helpful in a nuclear apocalypse.
fully furnished apartments, including a bedroom, living room, bathroom, and color television, and overall seemed like a great place to live.
Yeah! We got White House people. We got television. We got booze.
25 years after the bombs dropped, the residents were given the all clear, and the vault opened, to
Look at these guys. They're like, yeah, look at us lucky motherfuckers surviving while the other vaults are fucking Hunger Gamesing each other.
which they proceeded to head out into the wasteland with the goal of recolonizing the
I'll fucking die.
surrounding region of Appalachia. Vault 77 housed one man and a crate
Wait,
of
no shot. It was just wholesome? It was just wholesome? Aw, man.
puppets. The puppet man, as
7-7 is still with the puppet guy?
he was
Oh my
known,
God.
would unknowingly enter the vault as
The puppet gang?
its only residence and be locked inside. As he slowly went insane due to isolation,
Oh my God.
he became
The Vault 77 is just the isolation experiment. No fucking way.
engrossed with the puppets, believing them to be real people and hallucinating interactions between them. One day, the man found the king puppet murdered, to which he then accused the Vault Boy puppet of being the culprit. To the man's surprise, the Vault Boy revealed to him that they were both the ones who killed the king. Scared of what might happen if the other puppets found out, the Vault Boy convinced the man that they needed to leave the vault, which they eventually did.
Man just went insane. This is just the slow story of a man in solitude confinement going insane.
During their travels, they would encounter a giant mutated scorpion, a ghoulified vault dweller, as
Smash.
well as a giant ant, which the man named
Pass.
Mr. Pinch. The pair would eventually be captured by some wastelanders who planned to either enslave the man or eat him.
They really tied up the puppet.
He warned his captors that his puppet was dangerous and that he had killed before in a plea to let them go. After they shrugged him off as simply being delusional, the man would murder one of his captors, leaving one
How? Man was tied up.
alive to lead him to the rest of his
Even
group.
his puppet was tied up.
After the survivor had made it to the rest of his gang, he told them that the puppet man had murdered Bob, the other slaver. The men began to hear a noise as the puppet man got closer and closer to the gang. We then see in the final panel that the puppet man had murdered the gang with his bare hands, thus finalizing his descent into madness.
What the fuck? SCP-77 Puppet Man. What the shit? That was messed up.
In Fallout 3, if you head to Paradise Falls, a settlement full of slavers, you can find a Vault 77 jumpsuit hidden alongside a holotape.
Yo, that is such good writing. Fuck, dude. I love a game and a franchise that really cares about all the pieces of the puzzle.
This holotape contains a recording of one of the slavers ordering the listener to burn the jumpsuit out of fear that the puppet man may come looking for it. Vault 79, built in secret by Vault-Tec north of Dolly Sod's wilderness,
How could it be built in secret, right? They know there's 122 of them. So, like, how could this one be built in secret? They all know it exists.
West Virginia, was meant to
West Virginia! Alright, I'm not gonna do the song again.
house 120 high-ranking soldiers and government agents tasked with protecting the nation's gold reserves with the intent of rebuilding the economy after
What?
the Great War.
Are you joking me? This is a Fallout. No one gives a shit about gold reserves. You care about the economy? Bro, you have slavers running around the wasteland. You have people dying and turning into ghouls. You made Fort Knox Vault instead of worrying about what?
The vault's
Is it
number
just me, or is this just like a really stupid sense of priorities that only someone as dumb as rich people would think of? Again, I don't hate rich people. In fact, I wish I was one. But like, dude, I guess rich people just do care about money. They're like, yo, we gotta get this economy working. Once everything works out fine.
number was chosen due to the fact that 79 is the atomic number for gold. In
Okay, cute, I guess.
July 2072, secrecy surrounding the vault was compromised when soldiers guarding the site stole millions of dollars worth of gold and ventured to Las Vegas to gamble. Their
Honestly, I respect that. I respect that, bro. You're living in the fucking end of the world. It's a fucking Fallout, bro. Like, what are you gonna do with your life? If not, you know, take all the gold and go gamble. Like, what's the gold gonna do for you? What are you gonna do? Make wires out of gold? Make the fucking, you know? What are you supposed to do with gold? Trade that shit for food. And women! Alright, it was a joke. That was a joke. I would never buy women.
Their actions
I
led
would buy men. They're much stronger.
to a confrontation.
Okay, that was also a joke. I'm not... Fuck. That was all a joke. Disregard all... Editor! Editor!
At the Ultralux Casino, resulting in a shootout with local police. Despite attempts to surrender, all those involved were executed. In 2077, when the bombs finally dropped, the vault was sealed, to which inhabitants awaited further instructions from the US government. However, at some
These fucking sheep just waiting for instructions guarding the gold.
point after the war, a mutiny led by a rogue Secret Service agent named Shorty resulted in a number of deaths among the vault's population. The survivors remained inside the vault, isolated and depressed, with at least 3 agents taking their own lives.
Fuck, that's messed up.
On the surface, rumors of the vault's gold attracted treasure hunters, who hire your player character to help them commit a heist on
Yo! Okay.
Vault 79. Vault 81 built.
That's pretty dope. Alright, so it's just a rich vault. It's a vault with all the money. And that's the whole gimmick. And it turns out, people, just because they have a lot of money, they have nothing to do with it.
In Boston, Massachusetts, was intended to host an experiment in which scientists would use the vault's civilians as guinea pigs to develop a universal cure for disease.
Again, see, obviously unethical. I get why the government would want Vault 81 to do this shit, right?
The vault was designed so that the scientists would be separated into a secret sector unbeknownst to the residents, where they could monitor and experiment on the population. When the vault closed, before the scientists could begin their experiments, they were betrayed by the overseer, who locked them inside the secret sector of the vault. The scientists
What? That's wild.
would eventually perish, leaving only a single Mr. Handy named Curie.
My Mr. Handy's helped me out on a very lonely night.
As for the residents of Vault 81, they would maintain a peaceful society, and as of
Turns out, when people aren't trying to get their buttons pushed and manipulated into doing evil shit, for the most part, they actually get along. That's crazy.
2287, the Vault continues to thrive as it has managed to establish trade relations with the surface, continuously prolonging its residents' survival, unaware of the Vault's secret experiment. Vault 87, built in
honestly, that's pretty dope, right? That's pretty awesome.
Northeastern Virginia, was a research facility experimenting with the forced evolutionary virus, transforming its civilian population into
Smash.
supermutants, centaurs, and other mutated abominations. However, these supermutants escaped containment, and they seized control of the vault only 1 year after it was closed. By 2277, the vault is overrun with supermutants. However, one of these mutants, named Fox, managed to retain his intelligence.
Let's go! Let's go! He don't give no fucks!
And if you manage to free him, then he could be recruited as a companion. Vault 88, located in Quincy, Massachusetts, was intended as a testing ground for experimental productivity-boosting technology for other vaults, but was left unfinished, and when the bombs dropped, it turned the Overseer into a ghoul.
God damn. Smash.
In 2287, she is saved from raiders attempting to break into the vault by your player character
Hey!
in Fallout 4. Upon speaking with her, she tasks you with helping her rebuild the vault.
Why are ghouls any different than humans, aside from just being ugly and hairless? Like, aside from the fact that her head looks like a giant booger, like, what's the difference? She still retains her intelligence, right?
Making it a potential settlement for the player character to enjoy. Vault 92, located in Olney, Maryland in the Capital Wasteland, was led by Overseer Richard Rubin and promised to preserve the musically talented of the US population.
Really? Really? Vault 92? The whole job here is to save the musically talented? They're like, oh yes, we would like art and culture to survive. Okay, dude.
However, the Vault's true purpose was to conduct a medical experiment using white noise to implant combat suggestions within the minds of the residents.
Well, I take it all back. It turns out it is fucked up after all. Here I thought that they were just like, we want the culture to survive for another era. These musicians are in fact incredibly valuable, and we would like to keep them around to keep the culture of music alive. Maybe to a future generation. What's the fallout? They find a way to... Bro, I was thinking we'd go with the Vault 92 and you just see Cardi B twerking down there. But no! White noise signals turning these people into soldiers. Duh!
Despite initial success,
shows the skeleton.
Residents began exhibiting psychotic behavior,
Oh, shit.
leading to multiple deaths.
I tried to brainwash them with undertones and frequencies that would drive them insane, and they went insane.
To make things worse, the vault structure was decaying, as water began leaking into the vault, causing flooding. As the insanity spread, one of the Vault-Tec employees, Professor Malleus, pleaded with Reuben to end the experiment, to which the Overseer refused.
Why?
It is implied in an audio log that Malleus then planned on making the Overseer pay for his crimes, but no follow-up is provided. As the vault fell into further chaos, eventually it succumbed to flooding, allowing Mirelurks to infest the area.
Pass.
Presumably finishing off any remaining survivors, and turning Vault 92 into their new habitat. Vault 94, located in northeastern West Virginia, was advertised as a place where residents were tasked with preserving the natural environment surrounding the vault.
Alright, I suppose. The environmental vault, that seems wholesome. These people are probably really nice.
However, its true experiment was to test how a non-violent religious community would adapt to interacting with the outside world after the Great War.
I take it back, this place is fucked up. Dude, stop doing this! Why not actually try to give people a chance to survive? Why does every single one of these vaults have to be some creepy cultural way to trick humans into acting like pieces of shit?
The community was run by a woman named Gabrielle Salvar, and she made it so that the vault's decisions were made by a council rather than one overseer.
Not unbased, honestly. I respect that.
The experiment would be overseen by a sole Vault-Tec employee named Tyrone Hayes, who was instructed to monitor the population as time went on. When the bombs fell, the community was driven to the vault by two separate buses. The first bus was able to get their passengers inside. However, the second bus was too late, and their
my god, bro.
members were locked outside the vault as the
They were locked outside the vault and got fucking killed.
door was hardwired shut. After the vault door was sealed, the vault remained peaceful until Salvar convinced the community to open their doors back up on October 23rd, 2078, exactly 1 year after the Great War.
1 year later, they already opened up the vault to go see what's going on out there.
The community would send multiple ambassadors into the wasteland until one would come across the town of Harper's Ferry. The ambassador would attempt to bring survivors back to his home by telling them that they had a farm outside of the vault that could feed the entire town. The mayor, a woman named Maria Collins, suspicious of the dwellers' claims, would send a group of townsfolk to investigate the vault.
I mean, respectable, right? These people don't have shit to eat.
The group would be invited inside the vault, where they began to feel on edge about the community's inviting nature.
Because it's a cult! Because it's a cult!
They would eventually succumb to their paranoia and would massacre the Vault Council as well as any remaining survivors from the community.
Wait, the villagers ended up murdering the religious people? No.
After their massacre concluded, they would find the vault's Gek. Mistaking it for a mind control device, they began to open fire on it.
Oh no, no, no! The Gek is literally the trick to surviving out here!
This resulted in a
So the vault dwellers were genuine? Turns out the non-violent religious group that was running the vault were actually just nice people, and unfortunately it was their naivete that caused their genocide? That is so sad and soul-crushing.
levels.
And at the same time, can you blame the townspeople? Yes, you can. But can you blame the townspeople? Like, they were paranoid that there was some awful intentions and the town had no food. So they did what they felt like they needed to keep their friends and family alive. Like, obviously, yes, that's fucked up, knowing the whole truth. But, like, bro, this is like a South Park Mormon moment.
6 nuclear explosion, which would cause the radiation in the area to surge. This led to the organisms within the affected area to mutate, as well as a thick fog to pour from the vault's
And they destroyed the Gek. Fuck.
entrance, which would rapidly intensify the area's swampy environment. This event would then transform the surrounding area into what we now know as the Mire. Vault 95,
Yo, so they caused a bonus nuclear explosion.
located southeast of Natick, Massachusetts, was an experiment which had chem addicts undergoing experimental rehabilitation for their addictions. After the bombs dropped,
What's a chem addict? People got high on nuclear fumes?
the program would go on for several years and would prove successful in getting the dwellers to kick their addictions.
It was rehab, baby! Vault 95, rehab.
This was until a Vault-Tec agent masquerading as a fellow resident opened a stash of drugs hidden within the vault while the population slept.
Fuck, dude. Chems are just drugs. Okay. Chems are just drugs. Got it. But, dude, wait. So the rehab vault, the experiment was someone would give them the shit that they were addicted to? Have you met my younger brother, Meth 2?
The next morning, when the supply was discovered by the residents, chaos ensued, leading to violence among the dwellers, as well as some to succumb to their urges, while others maintained their commitment to sobriety. It is not known what happened to the residents following this instance, as by the year 2286...
Bro, they went to the rehab crack den vault and they brought drugs. They brought drugs to rehab, just purely to see if... Why would these vault dwellers be any different than any other human that fails, that succumbs to this shit?
The vault was completely occupied by gunners, who repurposed the vault into a stronghold for them to operate out of. Vault 96, located south of Spruce Knob Campground, West Virginia, was advertised as a vault designed to monitor the damage done to the local fauna after the bombs dropped. However, once it was sealed, the scientists within were shocked to discover that the vault's true purpose was to conduct unethical experiments.
Obviously, every single vault that's just disguised as like something wholesome. This vault is disguised to protect humans and future music. Oh, that's nice. This is designed to find wholesome ways to protect the environment. Yeah, right. My bull fucking shit. And it turns out every single one of them has secret agenda.
On mutated animals cryogenically frozen inside the vault in order to find a way to counteract their mutations.
Honestly, I take it back. That makes sense. Why does that need to be a secret? Bro, you have mutated mutated fucking animals. If you can cure that shit, maybe you can actually cure humans. Testing shit on them to try to cure them makes so much sense.
They were forced to maintain a weekly quota of data by the vault's mainframe that, if not met, would result in their demise.
Okay, that's pretty messed up. They're like, yeah, we want you to figure this out, and if you're not actually making progress every single week, yeah, we rigged the place to self-destruct. Take that as a little incentive.
The vault's planned duration was set for a minimum of 250 weeks, after which the residents would be exterminated, apart from the overseer, who would be permitted to leave. The scientists would conduct these experiments on their diverse supply of cryogenically frozen animals, including a mysterious entity known as X001.
Smash.
By week 146, one of the scientists failed to meet their quota due to a lack of access to specimen X001, leading to her demise at the hands of the mainframe. Blaming the overseer, a man named Eric, the team confronted him, only to discover that he was orchestrating an escape plan which involved infecting the mainframe with a virus in order for them to flee. Although the plan initially succeeded, the mainframe activated superseding Protocol Omega, causing the residents' deaths.
Dude, so it was it's messed up, man. It's like, yes, you want these people to work, right? Like, think about it. Like, what is the incentive for these people to work? It's not like you're paying them, right? It's like they're locked in a vault in a nuclear fallout where they have very, 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 very few hopes for the future, you know? Like, what is forcing them to work every day to try to, work on getting animals reverted from their mutated states? Nothing. It's not like you could give them money. Like, money's useless in this environment. They live in an age, in an era where nothing aside from basic necessities are necessary. That's crazy. So obviously the only way you can control people and force them to work is through threats. That's like morally fucked, but I guess it makes sense, right?
Despite this, the virus successfully shut down the mainframe, leaving the vault open, prompting animals to escape and triggering the emergency management system to call for assistance. In the year 2104, the vault was taken over by a scientist named Edgar Blackburn, who used its research equipment to attempt to create an improved strand of FEV in order to help humanity adapt to the wasteland. He would do this by hiring a group of mercenaries known as the Hellcat Company in order to guard Vault 96 and abduct unsuspecting dwellers for him to experiment on.
Oh, that's pretty awful.
Vault 101, located west of Springvale, Virginia, held a social experiment which studied the role of the overseer in a vault that was never intended to open. After the Great...
Yo, that's crazy. That like, literally debating the entire system. It's not the overseer conducting an experiment on the civilians. The test is on what the overseer would do if the vault remained closed forever. How would society actually function in a world without a sun?
War, the residents remained isolated as the overseer fabricated an illusion of the outside world being uninhabitable, fostering the belief that survival solely existed within the vault.
That's crazy. And they literally all just lived in... This is the Fallout 3 main vault. So, like, they all just lived their life thinking that there is no future. There is no survival outside of the vault. So the social experiment is seeing how far this society will actually go if they think that this is all society has to offer.
This continued for years until one overseer elected to break the cycle of isolationism and sent an expedition team out into the wasteland. When they returned, they would analyze samples taken from the wasteland that the team collected. This would lead to 2 team members, Lewis and Agnes Taylor, to be sent to Megaton for further exploration and contact between the 2 settlements. Eventually, Agnes would return to Vault 101 around 2258, and the overseer would vanish after a failed expedition into the capital wasteland.
No, that overseer was the GOAT, bro. He broke the cycle.
Eventually, a new overseer named Alphonse Almodovar would seek to return to the
His name was Almodovar. That's the worst name of all time.
ways of isolationism
After Mo Lester. Mo Lester, a worse name. Almodovar, that's pretty bad.
and seal the vault once more. Until one day, a man named James came to the vault seeking shelter, offering his services as a doctor in exchange for the safety of him and his infant child. The overseer would let them in, and James would keep his child in the dark about their origins in the wasteland because of his agreement with Alphonse, convincing your player character that they were born in the vault.
Yo, so the player character of Fallout 3 is the child of someone who entered a vault that was meant to remain closed. That's dope.
The overseer would continue his regime of isolationism with only one woman managing to escape the vault. Eventually, in 2277, a rat roach infestation sparked chaos in Vault 101, enabling James to escape. This caused even further turmoil, leading to several deaths. After the overseer orders the killing of...
Because it's not like James ever wanted to stay there. He just wanted his child to survive, right? That was just the deal. So of course he's going to take the first opportunity to escape.
multiple people, including the lone wanderer, you escape into the wasteland, fleeing from the overseer's wrath. While your player character leaves to find your father, the Vault 101 overseer increases security measures, causing division among the dwellers who realize the possibility of a life on the outside.
Because they lived their whole life for the last 100 years. Their entire culture is based on the idea that there is nothing outside, right? Like this is a perfect perfect example of Plato's Men in the Cave paradox. The allegory of the cave, the perfect Plato allegory of the cave. Here, dude, think about it. Plato's allegory of the cave is an allegory presented by the Greek philosopher Plato and blah, 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 blah. In this allegory, Plato describes people that spent their lives in a cave facing a blank wall. All right? They watch shadows on the wall. Here, I feel like this will be easier to explain. All right? So these people live their entire lives changed to a cave wall. Their whole life seeing shadows of the wall, of this fire that's casting light, making these shadows. They think that that's all of existence. They think that this is their whole life, and this is everything that everyone's life is supposed to be. Just living there with your back to the wall with nothing else out there. Shadowy monsters, shadows on the wall, these monsters that if you would ever leave the shelter of your safe haven chained to the back of this wall, you will eventually die because of these shadowy monsters, even though they're just a joke, and there is actually an outside world. Right? That is literally the plot of this game. These people are forced living in this cave with their backs to the wall, thinking that everything outside, all of the outside world is just their demise coming to get them. They think it's like the very freaking end. They think it's a nuclear wasteland, which it kind of is, but also with so much radiation poisoning that you won't be able to survive. Those are the shadows on the wall. But little do they know that there is a life outside of this vault. Like, that's fucking awesome.
Rose, Amada, the Overseer's daughter, would send out a broadcast frequency seeking the return of the player to help resolve the situation, leaving the fate of Vault 101 in the hands of the Lone Wanderer. Vault 106, located southeast...
Yeah, so Vault 101, that one's really cool. That's a really, really cool one. Shit, dude. Not as fucked up as Vault 13 Hunger Games Vault, but that's pretty crazy.
...of Arefu conducted an experiment in which the air filtration system was contaminated with psychoactive drugs 10 days after the vault door closed.
Why would you do this? Government! God damn it, government!
This experiment was known by the Overseer and the Vault staff, and they were each instructed to keep this a secret from the dwellers. As time went on, the effects of the drugs began to take their toll on the dwellers, as they began to show more and more signs of aggressive behavior.
Yeah, don't say.
Prompting the Overseer to order a lockdown. However, the deranged residents eventually overwhelmed Vault security and brutally murdered them as well as the Overseer.
No
Years
shit.
later in Fallout 3, you can find the Vault inhabited by insane survivors who have all descended into madness due to years of breathing in psychoactive drugs. As you explore the Vault, your character actually begins to see hallucinations of characters from their past, such
That's trippy as shit. Holy crap.
Is Amada, the tunnel snakes, and your father. Vault 108, located
That is trippy, damn.
north of Washington, D.C., had an abundance of problems. The vault was designed
Oh god. He's just described a lot of bad vaults. This is the first time he says there's an abundance.
to house 475 people for only
In this vault, we stabbed everyone to see if getting stabbed would actually kill them. Thank you, Chad, for that suggestion. I'm sure Bethesda will think about it.
38 years. The power supply was set to fail after 20 years, and the overseer was set to die after only 3 years due to a rare type of cancer. The experiment also deliberately
They picked an overseer with cancer because they knew he had a godly divine timer on him.
left standard positions vacant, as well as providing the residents with no entertainment tapes. Basically,
Oh my
this
god,
vault
bro, there were no movies. They're just stuck in this freaking vault with no power with a dying leader.
sucked ass. However,
This vault just sucked ass, dude. This is known as the ass-sucking vault. It was a social experiment to see how much ass-sucking people would take.
in addition to these failures,
Forced to watch Sniper Wolf videos on repeat.
the vault came equipped with a cloning lab. After the vault sealed, cloning experiments would be conducted which produced 53 clones of a man named Gary.
Bro, it's always Gary, bro, and his clones.
Each cloned iteration of Gary exhibited hostility towards non-clones, escalating with each replication.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Don't tell me. Don't tell me this just because. Oh, my God. It's all Gary. The all Gary.
Subsequent clones became increasingly violent, leading to them eventually purging the vault of its residents. By 2277, the
They were all just Garys.
vault is solely inhabited by clones who are only capable of saying one word. Gary.
That's fucking scary as shit. That's scary. They made racist clones. Bro, what is this? SCP, freaking Dr. Blight?
Gary. Vault 111, located in Sanctuary Hills, Massachusetts, was designed as a medical experiment studying the long-term effects.
See, I love how the thing that went wrong in Vault, in Vault 108 with the Garys, like, what went wrong was the fact that, humans kind of fucked it up. Like, it wasn't actively meant to be bad, right? It wasn't like the social experiment that drove them insane. This is just, you know, you give people tools and they're gonna abuse them and it's gonna ruin everything.
Gary.
Vault 111, located in Sanctuary Hills, Massachusetts, was designed as a medical experiment studying the long-term effects of cryogenic stasis on
Ironic. Gary became a Pokemon. Gary!
its unsuspecting
Oh my god, it's like the snail from SpongeBob. That's terrifying. Yo, just saying, I just gotta go make a quick piss. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I'll even leave the interspecies reviewers music playing in the background for your enjoyment. I just gotta go take a quick leak. Quick leak. Lord Leaksanor. I, the great Lord Leaksanor, must go leak.
residents. Once the vault was sealed, its residents would be told to enter cryostasis pods that were masqueraded as decontamination chambers. Once the residents were frozen, the vault was said to remain sealed for at least 180 days.
Bruh. I mean, 180 days, not such a big deal, right?
After 180 days passed, there was no all-clear signal, resulting in the Overseer's decision to maintain the vault's sealed status despite dwindling supplies.
Why? Bro, supplies are dwindling. You're all gonna die. You might as well take a chance, because if you're not gonna take a chance, then you're all dead anyway.
Following this, a group led by security and support staff rebelled against the Overseer, and in response, the Overseer initiated a lockdown. Unfortunately,
Dude, why are these overseers so annoying?
the logs abruptly end at this point,
Everyone likes democracy until they vote for the other guy, am I right?
and we can presume based on the skeletons scattered throughout the vault that the staff would soon perish after these events. In 2227, the mysterious organization known as the Institute discovered the vault and found that one of the cryostasis pods inside housed an infant named Sean whose DNA remained untainted by post-war radiation,
How? I mean, I guess he was in the vault his whole life. I guess that's how.
perfect for their third-generation synth.
No! No! This child was beautiful. This child was kind. The child was untainted by any form of radiation. We've experimented on him to create robots. We have murdered this child. Oh my fucking, every time, bro. Every time.
Agent Conrad Kellogg and two
Bro's
scientists
name is Kellogg. Bro's name is Kellogg.
were dispatched to retrieve the infant. However, when they opened the pods to retrieve Sean, one of his parents resisted in their efforts,
And they kill her.
which led to their tragic murder at the hands
That's a shock.
hands of Kellogg.
Bro, Kellogg! Kellogg killed the main character's mom? Bro, this is Fallout 4. Kellogg killed the main character's mom because she was resistant. You could have punched her, bro. Listen, I think that assaulting women is wrong, but it's better than murdering them. I'm the scale. I'm just... Okay, never mind.
After 60 years, Sean's other parent, who had witnessed the kidnapping, would be mysteriously released from cryostasis, discovering all the other Vault residents deceased due to a life support failure, making them and Sean the sole survivors of Vault 111. Vault 112 located...
And... Oh, they killed the main character's wife. Oh, they killed the main character's wife, not mom. Got it. But still, same idea, okay?
Southwest of Washington, D.C. was designed to house 85 people. The Vault's unique experiment involved immersing occupants in perpetual virtual reality, overseen by Dr. Stanislaus Braun, creator of the Garden of Eden creation.
Based. I mean, everyone always talks about getting out of the Matrix. Getting out of the Matrix this. Getting out of the Matrix that. Let's be real here. If you lived in fucking Fallout and you had a choice of living in the fucking Hunger Games bunker or just being plugged in, playing Sword Art Online 24 hours a day, what would you pick? Like, I'm just saying, fuck that, plug me in, baby.
Kit. The Vault housed a set of virtual reality pods which simulated a utopic suburb known as Tranquility Lane. Unbeknownst to its occupants, once they entered the virtual reality pods, Braun held absolute control over the simulation.
No! Are you joking? They were supposed to live in a utopia, and then the doctor guy was just some sadist fuck, and he oh my god.
Inside the simulation, Braun would take on the form of a little girl named Betty, and he would use his power to turn the Vault's residents into his personal playthings, repeatedly murdering them inside the simulation.
No! I take it back. Bring me to the fucking Hunger Games bunker. Instead of dying over and over billions of times in the fucking Sims.
Each time Braun murdered them, he would wipe their memory and resurrect them within the program, creating a cycle of torture that would go on for centuries. Vault 114...
That's the worst thing ever. Oh my god, that's horrible. Better be dead.
Located inside Park Street Station in Boston, Massachusetts, was a social experiment that was...
And I love how, unlike everything else, like where it just ends, like here he just gets away with it, because it's fucking Fallout.
Advertised as a luxury vault for wealthy members of society. However, in reality, the vault was designed to be cramped and overpopulated in addition to being under the leadership of an overseer with an abundance of mental issues. The vault...
So what we've done in this vault is we wanted to simulate Manhattan life with a landlord that's mentally handicapped. Good luck!
The vault was nearing completion, with construction underway and a man named Soup Can Harry being selected as overseer. However, the vault was never finished, potentially due to contract fraud and embezzlement. Eventually,
it really is Manhattan.
After the bombs fell, its construction site was repurposed as a base of operation for Skinny Malone's gang of...
No! This is crazy. This is the most New York shit I've ever seen in my life. Then, of course, they got the New York Mafia comes in. That's me, Skinny Malone, walking into the vault.
Triggerman. Vault 118, hidden beneath the Cliff's Edge Hotel in Mount Desert Island, Maine, was designed as an exclusive establishment aiming to attract wealthy and influential individuals seeking privilege and luxury.
Oh my fucking god, that's pretty dope, honestly.
The vault's...
And it's gonna be messed up. It's like, come here, everyone. Come in, please. Please. Join this vault. This vault would be luxurious if you could afford it. And all these people are going to be paying all that shit. They're going to get into this vault. This is going to fuck up these rich people.
The original experiment would involve segregating residents into two groups, an elite class of 10 ultra-rich individuals pampered by robotic staff, and a larger working class populace of 300 confined to cramped conditions.
America!
The rich would hold authority over the others, with robotic staff executing their judgments. However, construction on the second wing intended for the working class group ceased due to financial issues. The primary financier, Ezra Parker, stopped funding, citing payment difficulties from the guests. In addition to him, the vault was said to host influential figures such as former Hollywood actors Keith McKinley and Gilda Brasco.
Former Hollywood actors, brain in a jar!
A famous painter named Santiago Avida, as well as Dr. Riggs and his wife Juliana. Dr. Riggs in particular was involved in robotics research, and he was able to convince his fellow residents to consider having their brains inserted into robo-brains so...
Dude, I love how only in this will be, they'll convince them. Be like, yo guys, great idea! Why don't we just turn your brain into robo-brain instead? And they're like, holy shit, he has a point.
that they could become immortal. They all agreed and went through
They all agreed! Literally all of them!
the procedure, and when the Great War came and the vault was sealed, the Overseer became the only remaining human amidst the robo-brain residents. Centuries passed, and one day, Ezra Parker, the primary financier of Vault 118, was murdered, leading the residents to seek help from the player character in investigating who did it.
Yo, that's wild though, right? Like, that's a crazy plot. It just becomes a whodunit, Among Us murder mystery shit of robot brain people in a fucked up society.
Leading the residents to seek help from the player character in investigating who did it. In Fallout 76, a raider named Bruiser claims that he grew up in a vault somewhere on the East Coast. He claims that he participated in
Alright, so we're done with all the known vaults.
a warlike gladiator sport inside the vault, which,
A gladiator vault? That's messed up.
based on his description, sounds strikingly similar to American football. At some point during his stay in the vault, he left, and eventually ended up in Appalachia, West Virginia.
Appalachia, West Virginia.
Nothing else is known about this vault, as Bruiser doesn't give us a number that we can assign to it, but hopefully it will be explored by the Fallout franchise in an expansion or in a future Fallout title. Alright guys, that was
a great video. Dude actually went through all the fucking vaults. He just went through all the vaults in the freaking series. That's dope. That's really nice. Definitely, gamers, go check out Patty Rick over here. He did a freaking killer job here. Every vault in the Fallout series. This was an insane ride. A wild ride. Holy shit. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if there's other Lord Nuxanor deep dives you're interested in me doing. And remember to stay weird, fam. If you made it to the end, click one of these two videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on Kick. Stay weird, fam.